Alright, hey guys, this is the gear for today. Kind of a hodgepodge. We have fine accoutrements. This is the classic puck. This is Aquamarine, one of the, I don't know that it's a dupe of something else, like a lot of his scents are, but it came out with it right before, this is the last one I believe that came out before they had to switch to the soft base. And we'll look at that more in a second. The razor blade is the Nacet from Gillette, and we're looking at, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 79. 479 uses is today, if I'm reading that right. This is a vintage Gillette Aristocrat. This is the first twist to open razor that ever came out. This is the 1934. We'll plop the blade in there. The 34 can be distinguished from the 36, which came obviously later. 36 is smoother for me, but I chose this one to try in the Nacet since razors that have a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more aggression, maybe a little sharper of an angle, seem to be working better with this smoothed out Nacet. So I chose the 34 instead of the 36. If you look right here, you see this bar, these bars that come and make this pivot point. There's a little rivet right there. They come from the center. Now the thickness of the bar, kind of the height there, if that is pretty much the same height as this little brass piece you see above that, you can actually, it's kind of covering it all now when the doors are open. These are guides. If that's pretty much the same width, then you're looking at the 34. On my 36, the part above the arm that's visible is about twice as tall. And then, of course, if you have them side by side, this one has a more narrow head. So they're easy to know which is the 36 versus the 34 if you have them side by side, but often you don't. And so if it's all closed, if it's tightened down, and that brass part right there is pretty much the same height as this arm here, of course it's the same on both sides, then you're looking at a 34. Also, if you're able to see those rivets here at all four corners, if you're able to look at those from the underside, then they do look different. And here on the 34, you don't actually see the rivets itself. It's an angled cover piece that you see. And I've gone through that in some other videos, but those are really the only differences that it's easy to see visually to tell whether it's a 33 or a 34 or a 36. 1934 is the year, you know. And so it is, I bought the 36 thinking it was the 34. One of you guys out there was wise enough to know the difference, and you let me in on my fault. But I don't mind because the 36 is a better shaver. Just it wasn't quite the piece of history that I thought I was buying. Anyway, this is a Whip Dog brush, the Whip Dog Silvertip, a 3-band brush. It's been a while since I've used one of those, right? And I think it may be the 22 millimeter knot, but it may be the 24. And this is the Whip Dog long handle. Very ergonomic. However, the fingers usually end up to be about right here, which is still kind of close, and they do get a little messy. I would have loved it, actually, if the hole was put on this side of the handle, and then my fingers would have been farther away. But other than that, it's a terrific handle, and it's super cheap, too. Just several dollars from Whip to Dog. I assume he's still doing his thing, even after COVID. This Silvertip knot was the first real brush that I ever bought. The first actual one was the Vanderhagen brush from Walmart, but sure, it's a real Badger, but it's been clipped, and so the tips just aren't as nearly as soft. And so this is a moderately priced Silvertip, and I think it does a great job. Some people might claim it's floppy, but that's probably the kind of person that isn't really looking for a middle-of-the-road brush. They're probably looking for something more along the dense, the higher backbone side. I really have enjoyed it in the past. Let's try it again. It's been a while since I've used it. I've got a sniffle going. I apologize for that. I'll try to, blow my nose off camera and limit your exposure to my idiosyncrasies. Let's put it that way. There's identifying marks on the old Nacet. Falls into place. Wait. Almost did a funky thing. The marks need to go toward the handle. That's the way I've oriented the blade this entire time, except for one where I made this same mistake, probably on a TTO razor. I think that was back in use. No, can't remember. All right, so Nacet's ready to go. Obviously, it's an open comb, and there's not a lot of exposure here. The blade, kind of like it does on the Fatips, the blade is almost resting right on the combs. One of the ways that it makes it such a good shaver is because of that stability. It's not hanging out there in the middle of nowhere without support. Oh, the aftershave today, you would have found out later, but is Strop Shoppe Formula 221B. Obviously, that's a hearkening toward the Sherlock Holmes. Chiseled Face has a Sherlock scent, and some of the other ones out there have something like that. I have put this on just kind of a little bit during the day, just to kind of sample the fragrance. I got this in a lot purchase. Strop Shoppe, the soaps are kind of marginal for me, the way I shave. It's an older formula. They haven't, and they went out of business and that kind of thing. So, but let's try the splash. I just kind of ended up with it. So here's Fine and their classic puck. This one hasn't been used very much at all. I can't remember if this is the original one I had or a copy or a duplicate. That's the little stamping that they put on their hard soaps, or at least they used to. And these soaps last a super long time. They're hard. They will last in terms of both on the shelf, keeping their performance for decades. Hard soaps are great about that. But these also will give you many, many shaves as well. Like I showed you the other day, it was a tub of the P160 tub from Razor Rock. I show you how the lid can flex, not super strong, but in a similar fashion. When you fasten it together, it's really quite strong, and it should withstand normal travel type pressures without a problem, I would assume. Unless it's just super rigorous. So obviously this is going to need maybe a little bit more loading than usual, because it definitely wasn't used recently, and this one may never have been used at all. Some people like the logos and things, and so what they'll actually do is flip the puck over, use it from the bottom. In that way, if you think you might sell it later on, then that's kind of a marketing thing where you could then dry out the puck, put it right side up, then you could convey to the person that it wasn't really used very much at all. All right. It's a nice aquatic type scent. I like it a good bit. It's nothing exciting, but very enjoyable. 2 days of growth here, so this is going to be a tuggy shave on the first pass maybe. Let us get my beard wet. Often with fine soaps, I will load too much. Let's try just a 15-second load. See what happens. I have definitely gone to a dry puck and loaded for 30 seconds like I thought I'd need to, and it was way more than I needed. This brush holds a lot of water. It's not super dense. It's just kind of average density, and so there's plenty of room in there for water. So what should we do? Let's just compromise and do like a 20-second load. We'll start at 15. I may have to squeeze, if I see the puck moving around, I'm going to squeeze the puck so that it doesn't rotate. Squeeze the container. That's 10 seconds. Yeah, I bet I'm going to have plenty of lather here. Really having to squeeze it hard. Once you get some uses in it, then the soap will lock into place. You don't have to worry about that. Super slick. It's really funny that I would pick this soap and I could feel how slick it is with just this little bit here on my hand that was part of the overflow. High performance soap here. Not really in terms of moisturizing, but in terms of that fast, ultra slick type of shave. Rinses pretty cleanly. It's kind of funny that Fine would give a high performance puck. I think they were going for something similar to the formulation of tobacco when the guy created this soap base. I think I read something on his site where he looked around and tried to find a way to formulate the tobacco, and I don't know whether because I mean that's the performance of that soap is widely and highly regarded, and rightly so in my opinion. But the scent is kind of divisive. It's like Midnight Stag. There are people who hate it. They think it smells like grandma's purse or something like that, and I can see that. I've gotten used to it. I can look through the flowery powderiness, the powderiness really, not really flowery. I can look through the powderiness into the depth of it and see that kind of that raw tobacco note that I've come to really enjoy. So for me, I enjoy tobacco, but I'm glad that Fine came up with those classic pucks. I think it was before COVID. Maybe it was right around 220 when COVID hit that, yeah, I think the factory actually had to shut down that was making it because of probably COVID related issues or maybe budget issues that were made worse by COVID, that kind of thing. And look at that, we've already got some good looking stuff. So 20 seconds was plenty of loading. Notice I didn't soak it. When I started out shaving, I would soak this kind of puck, this hard puck. You definitely don't need to soak, in my opinion, and a lot of good shavers. The soft pucks. There are some people out there that think you need to soak them, but you really don't. In my opinion and experience. But notice I didn't soak it. I even went with it went at it with a lightly wet brush, not soaking or anything like that. And you see how much lather we're dealing with. There's plenty here to get the job done. And I only added a little bit of water. It's going to increase even more. But yeah, they had to switch. Fine had to switch to a soft formula that's more like a lot of the other soaps out there. I'm pretty sure I think it's made by the same folks who do Goodfellas Smile. And so it's a good quality soap, but I think they've priced it a few dollars too high. And so in my opinion, if they have a scent that you like the Platinum is a dupe of Creed Aventus. And so I'd rather point you to Sterling, where you can save a lot more money, get that same scent basically for a lot less money. And the lather's just looking terrific as usual. I did stock up on these pucks when it was announced that they were not going to be able to have them anymore. It's possible there are a few retailers out there with a little bit more stock of these, actually, because it wasn't a super popular soap anyway. And there are people in certain parts of the internet that don't like Fine because the guy doesn't, I would not consider him an artisan. Not like Southern Witchcrafts or Barrister and Man, Declaration Grooming, those guys. He doesn't really create most of his own stuff. He has created a few scents himself, but most of it's duplication. Even the formula here of this soap was kind of duplicated, or he tried to get the formula for tobacco, and use it. I think is kind of what's going on. And so some people don't like him too much. He did copy the Spearhead razor case, but that was a copy of the khaki razor case from vintage Gillette fame. Doesn't that look like a glorious lather? Look how wet, creamy looking that is. You can really push a lot of water into this lather and it holds up gorgeously. So yeah, I was unfortunately, I was disappointed with the way I wish he would have taken, if he wanted to do a razor case that was like the khaki razor case. There was a military style, you know. I wish he would have just done his own design, but clearly he took the design done by Spearhead and submitted it to somebody and had them duplicate it because it's the same exact measurements pretty much. I mean, it's really close. It's too close, really. Whereas Spearhead obviously did the work. But I don't, and often that does matter to me quite a bit, sometimes enough to make me quit using a person's product. However, since that case was based off another one anyway, I decided for now to keep using his products. After all, you don't have a lot of hard pucks right now with this kind of performance and modern or really nice scents. So no, I don't call him an artisan, but he does put out quality products. Questionable, you know, ethics that might be too much for some, and I can see that. I can see that. Not, I don't blame anybody for drawing the lines wherever they need to draw the lines. His aftershaves are, I think he copied the formula, or at least, you know, close enough to the Alt Innsbruck aftershave. And then he puts his own scents in there. And they used to be reasonably priced. But then he knocked them up about $5, and they don't really have too much skin food for you. And so I think those are overpriced too. Just like the soap. He did come out with that World Finest razor, which is a wonderful razor. I don't think it's worth the asking price, but I think it's a great one if you can get it on the secondary market. It's all stainless steel. Look, with a month of Midnight Stag, I love the scent. I love the scent on so many chiseled face soaps. But I love the look of this lather. This is the kind of lather that I would prefer to use. It's just glorious. It's not burdened by high structure airiness or anything like that. This is just beautiful. Okay, I'm going to quit adding water. I've got plenty of soap to do the job here, and I may need that many passes because as I came here this weekend and packed the razors I thought I would need, I wanted to pack a new one to try. And today, as I was prepping and getting ready, I think I remembered that this guy did not do very well with the Nacet before. Well, we're going to try it again anyway. All right, very nice little scent coming up off here. Not super strong. Oh, get my face wet. Fine did come up with some colognes, you know, some EDPs, EDCs, something like that. He came up with some of those for a lot of his scents. Oh, this is like a cloud. It's so soft. It doesn't have the density, and so you don't have to worry. The other day, you know, I was using a Badger that was really dense, the Thader, big old Thader brush, and I was having to work on the lather and rotating it through the brush. You just don't have to worry about this as much with this kind of brush. And it feels just light like a cloud. Just terrific. I'm so glad I started with this kind of brush. It's not a popular type of brush. Now, you saw that lather and how cloudy, soft and pillowy it looked. But as you can see, it's starting to build up here. And it actually could use some more water. That's how good this soap is. I highly recommend it. But unfortunately, it's harder to get now. I'm going to put a few drops in the brush of water. Oh, see, this brush, I could use it forever. Soft, gets the job done. Not very much scrub at all, but I don't want a lot of scrub. Man, I forgot how nice this was. Because these kind of Silvertips just, they aren't in vogue right now with some guys. They're really going for those high density Badgers. And that's fine. But I'm really glad somebody recommended this one to me in the beginning of my journey, because it let me know something that I would come to very much enjoy in short order. It's a great way to start the hobby. All right, 1934 Gillette Aristocrat, the first TTO ever to come out in the mass market with the old Nacet blade in terms of the number of uses. Working on 2 days of growth. So I'm feeling a little bit of tugginess, but hopefully just the first pass maybe will be tuggy. You can kind of hear it sing a little bit. You can hear kind of a metallic sound on that right side of my face. Hear it a little bit on this side. The stubble is, kind of bitey, and so I'm definitely not feeling the slickness of the lather quite yet. Of course, fine is this classic soap base here is one that I do plan on testing with the new slurry method that I stumbled upon. All right, I can definitely see plenty of stubble on my face. Patchy spots that seem to be mowed down nicely, but let's hit that on another pass. Let me get some water on my face. Add a little bit more water to this bowl here when you guys were on the pause a second ago, and this looks, the gloss there is always pretty. Looks terrific, and it's working so well. All right, second pass. Since that one was the way it was, let's just kind of repeat. Yeah, see that tugginess? It's gone. Hopefully it's because we have a nicely taken down length of stubble and not because the razor is just not able to work with the blade. Well, that's very comfortable. So we'll definitely not have a problem switching to cross grain for the next pass. And some water. Going to leave my face wet because I do actually think this lather could use a little bit more water. So we'll fine tune it with that technique. Cross grain now. Had a great day with my daughter today. We went to see the movie DC's League of Super Pets. Tell you what, if you've got a kid that likes pets and that kind of movie, 10-year-old was just the perfect age for that. It was hilarious. There's so much good stuff in there for adults to enjoy too. So many one-liners. They used it as a launching pad to kind of poke a little fun at other superhero type movies. I was laughing so much, and I don't often. I've got a kind of advanced sense of humor, and the joke just has to really kind of catch me off guard or be something that is kind of being poked fun at that just isn't really done. And Dwayne Johnson was one of the main voices. Kevin Hart was another one. And man, it was just terrific. I am feeling the beard reduction there, so we are making headway. That was the second. Nope, that was the third pass because that was the first cross grain pass. Oh, this brush, so soft. Working really well with this lather. And this is a brush that he's got some other handle options, or you can buy the knot by itself. And you could buy a knot, a better handle from Craving Shaving, or, you know, some other vendor online, like on Etsy, or one from AP Shave Co., which is a company I highly recommend. Especially if you like synthetic knots. But he's got some cool handles. Oh yeah, I'm not going to wear this shirt tomorrow, so I can let all kinds of mess happen. Well, that first pass was tuggy, but the rest have been pretty nice, and I can feel the difference here. We are making headway against the stubble. Razor moving easily. And rinse. Laying down a little bit of a layer here, plus a little extra just for fun, because I've got plenty of lather. Yeah, so that 20 seconds, didn't have to do that. Could have gone with maybe even 10 or 15, and that was with a puck that had not been used, maybe even ever, but not any time in the near past. This may be pass number 5. Well, I'm glad I brought this razor along because it might just be doing okay with this old blade. We also went to a favorite little special place of ours where the sushi comes along on a conveyor belt next to your table. And that's just so fun for a 10-year-old, right? Had a fun time doing that. And you can, my face isn't overnourished in a oily kind of way. It's just that slickness that you feel. Good residual slickness too. And it used to be, back when these pucks were available, that they were, I think they were $12.50 at one point. And that's just nuts to get that kind of performance with nice scents. Rive Gauche was, I think, the one by American Barber, the American Blend scent that they have. They had the Creta Ventus available in the Platinum. They had the couple other just, they had one, the Acqua di Parma or whatever as Italian Citrus. Just a tremendous thing. If you like menthol, they had one called Snake Bite, but I never tried it. I'm not a menthol head. Just a whole bunch of good scents with this amazing kind of performance. And so this is why I stockpiled. Oh, and sandalwood. Santal Absolute. Is that the name of it? It's been so long since I used it. And it was this really nice sandalwood type scent that had some classic shaving notes in there, as well as the sandalwood, and that really resonated with me. Like powdery notes, or maybe some light florals, but it was like a traditional shaving, clean type scent combined with the sandalwood, and then you add in the performance of this hard puck, and it's terrific. One of my favorites. All right. Face feels great. How does the shave feel? How does the shave look? No, that's actually not bad. Just for fun, I've got plenty of soap. I want to do another pass. I do see enough stubble that maybe this, it's getting a lot of the job done properly. It may be leaving a little bit too much. And so this may not pass muster in terms of being able to use the Nacet. See how much lather I've got here. Another pass in the brush and maybe 2 more passes in the bowl. It's glorious. Oh yeah. Moving quickly on my face now, just got that protection from the lather. Able to just work areas over and over because of that protection. We'll see if I'm able to get close enough. And of course this one did, start out as a 2-day shave, something the Nacet does not like to do. I felt it in the tugginess in the first pass, but after that it was fine. Fine. Nice choice. Oh, that's actually pretty decent. I think that's a reasonable shave. So I could keep using this guy if I wanted to with the Nacet. It's kind of funny. I just grabbed a few things randomly. I wasn't intending really to use this soap. Because I don't think this is my primary Aquamarine. I started using another one. And I like to use one before I start on the next one. So I can kind of gauge how many uses each one will give me, but one isn't going to hurt anything. And then I had this sitting beside me as I was in front of my computer packing. It had been a while because I was just curious about it. And then I had been looking through my razors and decided to try this guy on the Nacet. And it happened to be, after all those 3 random things happened, this is a shave of discontinued or old stuff, right? Obviously, the Strop Shop stuff is off market now. The razor is the oldest TTO that's out there. And these alcohol splashes, of course, will last a super long time. We've got some nice scent going on here. It's probably mostly alcohol based, but it may have some skin food. And then the other thing was that the soap has been discontinued. That classic hard puck has been discontinued. I think they did bring the Aquamarine over into the new soft base. I could be wrong about that though. So discontinued razor, discontinued splash, discontinued soap for various reasons. Let's look at the ingredients here. Yep, alcohol is the first one, then spices, fragrance. It does have some witch hazel mixed in. And that's about it. So not a lot of skin food. And I don't know that there's a bunch in there that makes me think of Sherlock Holmes or classiness or old school leather or some of the things that I've smelled in other Sherlock type based fragrances. But it's very pleasant, enjoyable. I'm getting that citrus, a little bit of citrus. Oh, some spice, yeah. Oh, but it's minimal. I'm so glad. It's like it's an allspice. No, clove, maybe clove. But I'm glad that it is behind the main citrus note. And so otherwise I don't think I'd like it very much. Cool, okay. So we will rinse off the blade here. And the old Aristocrat, #1, as in the first. Got the job done with the old Nacet today. Might try it again. This one's in tremendous condition. The gloss there. The open comb just works so well. And this works really well with a new blade too. It is a little more, has a little bit more blade feel than the 36. And so I do enjoy shaving with the 36 a little bit more. It's just as efficient, but it's smooth. It's more smooth. I will go ahead and get my towel in there. A little piece of history. How about that? That's interesting. I think I'm finding that clove is remaining when some of the other things that I like better are kind of burning off. And so I think I might have to pass this on to somebody else. All right. I used a good bit of water. I can see it here. 27 milliliters. And that's why this soap is amazing. It can take that much water and be creamy and glorious. It's just tremendous. Now, a lot of times a Silvertip brush is not going to look as white, as light colored, because it doesn't have those artificially treated or bleached tips. Most of the time, a 3-band brush will not be treated because the flex in the bristles here is just so easy and soft that people don't find that the tips need that extra softness provided artificially. And so in a sense, these brushes can last a lot longer because if you do treat the tips, you weaken them and you kind of damage them a little bit. And so obviously guys who do gel artificially the badger brushes that they have, they're trying to find that line between giving the user a soft experience without gelling it too much to cause damage and have it not last very long at all. But the good news is if you buy a few brushes and have a good rotation, then you can mitigate that and the brush will still last a nice long time because you're just not using it as much. But with this one, you have that black band that's a little bit more visible because it's just not as dense of a brush, and then the tips aren't as light in a color. And so you can see a nice big splay here. I even reined it in a little bit with an O-ring there at the root. But I think this is a 24 millimeter. But as you saw, I mean, we've got plenty. This is unsplayed. And so it gets even wider, so it's plenty wide enough. You don't have to go with a 26 or 30 millimeter necessarily. And that's common with this kind of brush because it splays so big. This is a bulb knot, of course. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing if he's still around and if he has a fan knot. I wouldn't mind checking out if he has a Silvertip fan knot. I haven't thought about that until this very moment. It's a very enjoyable knot. One of my first knots, and I'm glad. So that's the water used. Turns out the clove is staying around a little longer than I might like. So and I found out today that aftershave isn't quite for me. The Aristocrat 34 worked great with the Nacet, worked pretty well. I'll give it a shot, another shot for sure. Aquamarine, love the base, like the scent. That worked well today too. So tomorrow is a mini milestone, being 480 uses. So today was 479. Tomorrow is 480. How about that? Well, there we go. That's today's shave. It's late. I'm going to get to bed. You guys, I wish the very best to you. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Have a good night.